Thank you, Raju. So, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on which part of the world you are. Um, my name is Ankit, and I will be the trainer and instructor for DevOps and Python, or rather Python for DevOps scripting course. And today, I welcome you all for the sort of a demo where I'll be running by what is all that we are going to be covering. As just 3 minutes ago, Balaji was asking me, is this good for him? Is this something he should do? Is this something he can do because he's not from a development background? So there'll be questions like that, I'm sure, with in everybody's mind. I'll be answering all those. So really quick intros from my side. My name is Ankit again. I have about 20 plus years of experience. I have been doing these trainings for last decade and more. And I have experience in almost every IT field in terms of development, QA, DevOps, whatever you want to call it. I started as a developer in C++ back in the day, and I have been coding in C++, Java, and Python for more than 10 years now. C++ being the largest because that was the first language that I started working on. Currently, I work as a senior architect, and like I was saying, I've done everything, development, QA, DevOps. But I think the most important aspect of my career so far is doing the designing, which is more of end to end. So that gives you the whole picture how the real IT product life cycle works, or a software product life cycle works. And I think that is the best I can say for my edge because that has given me a lot of deep understanding of how the products actually work, irrespective whether it's a networking product or whichever product, as long as it's related to software in any fashion, um, that gives me a broader advantage and understanding of everything. So just in a nutshell. I mean, of course, once we start going through the classes, we'll understand a bit more. Plus, I don't want to spend time on introductions. Today's world, you can look up everything on internet and you can find out everything. So let's concentrate on what is Python, why learn it, right? So even before I answer that, I want to tell one thing, I want to say one thing that coding is the most important skill if you want to survive in IT today, or even if you want to get into an IT job today. It doesn't matter whether you're a QA or DevOps. So since Balaji has that question, let me go ahead and first answer that question. So here's the one. Even if you're a fresher, even if you're somebody who's worked in the past and took a break, or you have no prior coding experience, or you're a shell script guy, or you're a non-IT, or you're a QA, or a DevOps, or a developer, or even some other language, doesn't matter. Because, like I was saying, coding is the most important skill that you need today. And Python becomes the obvious choice because it's the most easiest. And that is one reason. And second, it's being used everywhere. That is why Python is no longer just called an object-oriented programming or a procedure-oriented or just a programming language. It's called a general purpose programming language because Python is used by developers for developing websites. I developed my own website using this Python code, and you can do that. And Java is, I won't say it's replaced, but it's long um, being overtaken by Python. If you do Google, you'll see Python is the most used language, even in web development. So that is, of course, the development part. But does it mean it is not used in any place else? So if you look today in any job opportunity that belongs to QA or DevOps or anything remotely related to software, I'm not talking about development, I'm saying other jobs, they would definitely have Python in the requirements. Like I said, Python is a general purpose language. It can be used for scripting. As simple as if you know shell scripting, Python will make your life much, much easier than what you can do in shell scripting. It will make it much easier as well as simpler. So Python is replacing that. Python is used in DevOps, like I'm going to show you in the demo towards the end today, that we can even automate using Python the complete CI/CD architecture, even by spinning a pod inside Kubernetes and doing so many daily things that we do as DevOps engineers. So Python isn't just a programming language. Like I said, it's being used in all aspects of software development. Now, it's basically more like the remote control, I would say, of all the advancements that are even happening, including AI. I know everybody talks about AI. I know everybody, that's the buzzword. Everybody wants to hear, everybody wants to learn, which is great. And the main part that most people forget is that Python is the backbone of all. And Python is needed. And whether NASA, whether Tesla, whether FANG, whether any company you pick or any project you take, Python is already inbuilt in it. We just don't know that. It's a fun fact about it that everything from ChatGPT to self-driving cars basically runs on Python. It just doesn't run only on Python, but it needs Python. Python is the fuel. So if you're learning Python today, then there is a learning language for AI, which is also the future. So one skill, Python, is very much needed in your resume. Is that the only skill? No, absolutely not. But that is one skill that you get in your resume. It will definitely get you more interview calls. And of course, for DevOps engineers, as I've been told, this is mostly DevOps engineers. So that is one of the most sought after skill. Just to give a little bit more perspective, so even in QA, not just DevOps, I'm talking about QA also, these days, there's no manual QA or automation QA job left. If you look, they will always say SDET, which is Software Development Engineering and Test, SDET. So even in QA, now they want development to be done by the engineers. What they simply mean is, does that mean it makes you a developer? No. It simply means you should have the ability to write the code in Python, which simply means you should have the ability to automate in Python, which also simply means that you should be able to write scripts in Python because it is much, much advanced than shell script, much code optimized than shell script. And of course, much easier to maintain because tomorrow you will move on to some other job or some other project. Who's going to maintain that code after you're gone? So the company needs to be following a pattern where some skill that everybody understands, not just few people understand. For example, shell scripting, not everybody understands. I did not understand shell scripting for almost 7 to 8 years of my career because I never needed it till then. And when I learned it or when I saw it, I was like, okay, this is also something which is great to know. But again, Python gives you one solid understanding, one solid level across all those domains. So that is the why. Why should we learn Python? And what is Python? I'm sure details and stuff we'll all understand as we go forward. Now, while I'm on this, and I'm answering Balaji's question, let me also share this a little bit more because I see some people ask me these questions every time. So it's more like mostly asked or usual questions. So, like I said, no prior coding experience needed. Or it's a zero to hero kind of a course. You don't have to worry about it. All you need is an internet and a laptop. That's it. And of course, your willingness to learn, like I said here. If you want to learn, I guarantee you that this is something that will get you a good Python. Again, I'm going to use the word developer, which is a very broad term, not just for developers, but it's used across all the platforms right now, not just for QA, not just for DevOps. So very quickly, these are the timings and duration. I am actually based in US. That's why the timings are in the US as well. So these are the timings for me. It's actually pretty late for me in the night, but this is the second batch that we have. We have another batch which is already full. That is 8:30 p.m. EST, which would be 1 hour before. But this is starting from December 1st, US timings, and December 2nd IST timings. So this will be your schedule. Duration will be approximately 32 to 33 classes, which is going to take 1.5 to 2 months. I would say 2 months because I like to take the course very, very detailed fashion. I don't like in like what is a string and just go ahead and finish in 5 minutes. No, I actually take a whole class on strings for 1 hour. I take a whole class on lists and tuple for 1 hour. So I spend a lot of time on the basics, and I'll tell you why in a minute why I do that. But before that, let me finish the usual questions. So, of course, every class is recorded, and recording will be available for 90 days. This is something governed by Mithun Technologies. I cannot do anything on it. I'm just the trainer. I don't even manage it. So if you want to talk about this or anything about recordings, you have to talk to the admin person who brought you here today. Then if, well, source code will be the code that I write every day live in the class. That will be shared right after the class. I'll share it in the WhatsApp group, which will be found once you enroll and pay the fee. And of course, if I use any PPT of mine, then that will be shared right away in the class itself. I mean, in the WhatsApp itself after the class. Of course, there will be a lot of assignments, and I want everybody to make use of that because assignments are not just for the name. You have to um, be doing those assignments. You have to be using those in order to understand what I have said clearly by yourself. And then, of course, this yields a part to your AI. So those are the usual questions. Like I said, all you need is a computer and an internet and a means to listen to my live calls and just show up on every day. And that is all you need to know. No coding experience necessary, no developer, DevOps, QA experience necessary, nothing like that. You can be just anybody who understands this, and that is all I need. So, of course, it'll be live hands-on every day. And one thing, as you might have seen in the chat also, what I ask all my students is that please make it very, very interactive. And I want this demo also to be very interactive. So if you have any question, just raise your hand on the React on the GoToMeeting bar. When we go to classes, we'll be using Zoom, so that is also available. Or you can put your question in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer it. And all I ask is just let me finish my thought, and then you can unmute and ask the question directly to me. So it's very, very interactive. That's one of the USP of this courses, guys, because not everybody understands the importance of it. You can be a very good coder, but at the same time, you need to get the skill how to answer or talk about your code. And that is something you can build during this next 2 months when you start interacting in the class. So that is a huge, huge advantage. Now, of course, I just covered this. This is not just for developers, but for everybody. It can do a lot. This is just few of the things. Websites. So my website was built on it. Robots, stock bots. So I have been writing a lot of chatbots. In fact, the chatbot on the website also was written by me. A lot of stock bots. What are stock bots? Are basically you're automating your trading strategies in stocks. I'm not going to sell anything stocks here. Please don't be worried about it. I'm just saying, once you learn Python, it is not limited to what you are working at work. You can use it for your own benefit, even for automating your daily boring tasks. There have been so many students in the past, mostly from Mithun Technologies itself, who, excuse me, who have learned this, and they would tell me after a few months that, hey, Ankit, I did my chatbot, I did this, I did that, and I really like it because that's what gives me the confidence that they are able to use the Python in their daily life as well. There are so many of those experiences, and some of them are there on my website testimonials if you're interested to take a look. You can ask that admin team or you can reach out to me and we can share those with you. But the point is that you can automate. If you see any boring stuff that you do almost every day, you can simply automate it using Python. So Python gives you general learning about Python gives you that advantage. It is not just targeted toward DevOps. Of course, this is DevOps and this is through Method technology, so it has more of DevOps. And I'm sure everybody would have got the content from them. I don't have that particular one, but you can use this. If you haven't got this, please reach out to the admin guy. He will share it with you. But my point being, these things up till here all remain the same for whatever field you want to work in. The difference is all about here, and then of course the package, sorry, the project that we are going to do at the end for DevOps. There are multiple projects that we can do. So I have web scraping, I have Flask integrated with it. Today I'm going to show you an arc parser, which is also one of the very important things. Because if you're in DevOps, the most important thing that you need is to be able to run your scripts. It could be anything. It could be as simple as collecting a log. It could be as simple as collecting a log and fetching a data from it, a particular log line from it. In fact, that is one of the assignments we do. So all of that, the main aspect is that you need to learn Python very well, especially, I mean, if I had a big marker, I could highlight this like 100 times over, I would highlight it. Object-oriented programming. Very, 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 very important. Because most people think that this is just 5 topics. Not necessary. It's the half of our project. Sorry, half of our course. And that's why I was saying at the beginning, this is a very detailed course. And that brings me to the another topic that I talk about. Why learn through me? Is it only for Shubham, or can somebody else confirm that the PPT is not visible? He posted in the chat. Can anybody else quickly confirm?
PPT is visible. I think before that one you shared, it was been very coarse content. It was been
Oh,
very
course content.
small.
Okay. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you, Balaji. Thank you, Vishnu. Thank you, Abdul. Thank you, Ready Shaker. So, Shubham, maybe something on your end, but if you're referring to the content that I was sharing earlier, then yes, you would have already received it through your admin. If not, please reach out to him and he will share it with you. All I was saying was on that the object-oriented programming concepts is the most important thing. We need to learn that very well. And in order to learn that very well, we need to understand the basics very well, because that is where most of the people don't understand the difference. They think, oh, I know Python because I know how the variables work. I know how the for loop works. I know how the string functions work. But that's not exactly it. Even if you know basics or any idea of Python, I guarantee you, you attend the first few classes and you'll see the difference, because nobody talks about the basics in detail. And that, according to me, is the worst thing any teacher or any instructor can do, because until you understand the basics, you won't be able to apply those to the advanced concepts. And by the time when we come to advanced concept, I see most people just mugging those up, right? And I don't like that thing. So I'm going to also answer this part of another question, which nobody's asked me yet, but some people do ask me, and I'm sure everybody has in mind that, Ankit, in today's world, when I have Udemy, when I have YouTube, when I have ChatGPT, what is the one value add, or what is the value add that we get in this course, right? And it's a very valid question. If I were you, if I were spending this money, I would ask the same question to Mithun Technologies or me. So I would answer that question. There are many, many things that you get in part of this, which you do not, and I guarantee you, I do not get those in any Udemy or any course outside. I've seen so many Udemy courses, I've seen so many Python related courses, but everybody fails on the basic idea, and I'm going to talk about it. But I'll tell you why and how, because there is something called as ratio to hire. I don't know how many people know this, but this is something that every company follows when it comes to hiring people. And I know these details and the reasons I'm going to talk next, because I also do interviews at my company. Being a tech architect, they have to pass my interview level as well, or my interview round as well. And whenever I interview people, I have seen these few things that I bring to table using this program, that they are not able to write the code. There are buckets of people. There's one bucket which is maximum. That is, there are people who are not able to write the code. They can read the code and understand it. If I show you a code right now, most of you will be able to understand the code. Oh, yeah, this is simple. This is doing this. This is doing that. But if I ask you to write that code, very few will be able to write it. And then on top of it, even fewer will be able to write it without or error free. So that is one of the major reasons, that one of the major USPs you see. Now, how I talk about it, again, based on the next few points. Then the second USP about, or you can say what you get here is, this is, let me make a blatant statement first of all, and it's on record, that this is not a Udemy course. If you are looking for 10 hours of learning and understanding Python, or 1 week and become a Python expert, this is not for you. I'm telling you right away. This is a very detailed course, guys. We are talking about at least 2 months, every day classes, Monday to Friday or Tuesday to Saturday if you're in India. So this will be taking you through a lot more in-depth details. And that's why I said this is more like even if you don't know coding, because you understand logic building as we go through it. It's a huge important aspect, guys. And I'm sure if you've gone through Udemy or any such course, they generally try to sell those become a Python expert in a week, become a Python expert in 20 days with just reading 3 hours, 4 hours a week. No, it's not going to work. The 1 hour is the classes, and then I want you guys to work on assignments, which also brings to my another value add, which nobody gives you, and it's a huge plus that every assignment I give you, I don't want you to put the solution in the um, WhatsApp group. Rather, send it to me 1:1. I am ready to spend that time with you. I will respond to you and I'll tell you, okay, this works or this doesn't work. And if it works, I'll tell you, go to the next step. What is that next step? And that is the reason I don't want it to be published in the whole group because I want everybody to try those assignments. Now, the next piece is very, very important, and I guarantee you that you will not get it from anywhere. That is called code optimization. So in this program, you're going to learn code optimization using Python. What is code optimization? Why is it so important? First of all, it is a very challenging thing. It is not something simple that you can understand on your own. Second, what does code optimization do? You can write the same code in 100 ways, right? But the code that is important is that is optimized, meaning you use less number of for loops, even less number of looping conditions and all those things. So that is called code optimization. Why is it so important? Because it is Fang's favorite. And that is another value add that you get from this course. If you aspire to be in one of the big companies, I'm sure everybody knows Fang here, Facebook, Apple, which is Meta now, by the way, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, Oracle, all these big companies that you've heard. Even the small companies, I think they call them WITCH, Wipro, Infosys, all those. It's not about I'm trying to defame a company, but I'm just trying to say when you prepare for the best, you will automatically be able to clear the rest, right? So that is something that is the basic thing when it comes to Fang interviews. And most people don't even get it. They think, oh, I interviewed in Facebook or I interviewed in Amazon and my interview went well. And then they do not even get a follow-up call because they do not understand that the same question can be resolved using code optimization. And that is what these companies look for. They're not going to explicitly tell you. I have so many years of experience. That's why I know what they look for. I have so many friends in all these companies. In fact, that also comes as a benefit that I can refer you to them towards the end of the course. But that is not that big a thing. What I'm trying to say is, over the years of experience, my own experience and my friends' experience, I've gathered this that code optimization is very, very important. I use it at my work as well. So that is something that none of your ChatGPT, Udemy courses can ever teach you, not even ChatGPT. So that is a huge, huge advantage. So Lambda functions, for example, right? I'm sure everybody has heard about it some way or the other. People get scared out of Lambda functions. I spend one whole day teaching Lambda, map, filter, and reduce. That is not even there in your contents, but I always give extra beyond the contents. So all these things, and then the most important aspect, which 90% people fail, they don't even understand what the interviewer is asking. So it's a very important skill, guys, that you need to understand the question that the interviewer has asked. Most people, they'll just simply look at the question or simply hear the question and they'll start diving in. No, we have to understand the real intent or where the interviewer is going. And if we understand that and we start answering based on that, your interview becomes a breeze. And that's what I want everybody to prepare for. So that's another huge advantage. And of course, like I said, the classes are interactive. You cannot interact with the Udemy course or anything like that. If you don't understand anything, tell me on the live call, hey, Ankit, can you repeat it? But at the same time, I don't expect you to ask me the same question 10 days later, right? So there are some expectation level settings as well, which we'll do on the first class. But at the same time, make it very interactive. Ask me a lot of questions. If you won't ask me, I will be asking you guys the questions. So that's how it goes. And also, one very important thing, almost every class I will do once we start, this beginning will be starting from basics. Nobody goes in detail in basics. And again, I keep repeating it like a broken record, but that is the most important thing. I even write on the code that I share with you later that you guys are going to forget it later. And it happens every time with almost every batch. So these are the things that you get keep getting reminded about, and we start from basics to advanced all the way up to next level of coding, which is beyond OOPS, which is code optimization. And every class I take, I'll always start with basics and then sometimes move to the interview question and how the interview question is done. And sometimes my whole 1 hour is spent only on one interview question. So that is something that you should be thinking about when you choose any course, not just my course. Because nowadays, I think reading or learning online is very simple. You can do it from so many resources, but learning it right and being able to get the ability to code is very, very important, right? So I'm not going to go too much into this and keep boring you, but like this says, you can do a lot of stuff. So I do this a lot of time, and this is not a part of the actual demo, but I'm just going to show you something which will tell you, or which will give a little bit more details than what I was just telling you. So let's say you do whatever you do in your daily routine, but if you ask just one question to yourself, hey, am I doing this repetitively every day? If you get an answer yes, then you should think about automating it in Python, and you can. So, for example, I go to when I'm trading or I'm doing stock investments, I go to a few websites that I have almost every minute. Now, I can very easily just open it from the bookmarks and whatnot, and that's perfectly fine. I can do that. But if I just click, so what I did, I'm just going to click on a .py file, which is the Python file, and you'll see it right away. I hope it goes in this window, not in other windows. That it is going to open all of my websites. There you go. So these are all my websites that I need. Now, the intent is not to show you how it is automated or what it is, but the point that I'm going to make, and I'm going to show you the code in a second, which is that, so this was the code that I read. Now, if you look at this code, this is the whole logic, right? I mean, this is very simple. This is all my websites that I have. This can be any website for you. Now, if I show you this code, I'm sure everybody will be like, "Oh, it's very easy, Ankit. You're trying to get into a web browser called Chrome, and you said open these URLs, and that's it, and you're done." But if I ask you, or I ask anybody, if you can write this code, and even beyond writing this code, even if you can explain me this code in a manner you would explain in an interview, or you would explain it to a layman, then most people won't. And I'm not saying everybody, I'm saying most, because some of you might know that what it is, right? So of course, this is a package, and of course, Python has a lot of inbuilt packages. But what is this? This is a function within the web browser module, right? What is its purpose? That is the main thing. And what is this open doing? So if I now the line that I'm going to say is what, or something that you should be explaining it, or you should be knowing it if you know Python. So it basically returns a controller object. Now, the object is something I can, if I could just put it in so many quotes, air quotes, right? So I said it returns a controller object or an instance of a browser specific, which is Chrome in my case, class. So every time, even in one single line of code, you will see class and object, instance, object, class. So everything in Python revolves around object-oriented programming, which most people don't understand. This is simple. Input is Chrome. Everybody knows this is my browser. What is going to happen in that? Now, if I ask you, what is this in terms of object-oriented programming? It basically is a subclass of web browser dot base browser. What is base browser? What is web browser? What is subclass? Right? So even a single line of code, of course, this is simple. You can understand this is coming from here, which is nothing but a list, and list will iterate through all of them. And that is done using this for loop. So this part, everybody, I'm sure almost everybody can understand. But I was just saying, even such a simple looking code will have so many things that you have to understand in detail so that you are able to write this code. Plus, you're able to explain this code, right? So instance, object, classes. You'll keep hearing this from me every time until we get to classes, because these are the most important things. And to understand them, we have to first understand the basics. I'll give you another example, which is very relevant to you guys. I'm sure earlier I used to show this in demo also, but I lost my EC2 instance, and I don't use AWS so much because I cannot. But anyways, that's a different thing. So even looking at this, it's very simple. All you're doing is, even a novice guy can tell me that, okay, you're entering into EC2 instances and all you're doing is you're just sending these commands there, right? So, but a novice person will not be able to tell me what is the main aspect here. What does this line actually do? Can anybody take a guess? Or can anybody tell me? If you know, that's fine. You can unmute for this one.
Maybe it
Yeah,
is
so
trying
let me
to
answer.
put,
Hmm. Go ahead, Suman.
maybe it is trying to boot the virtual machine.
Yes, but my
Uh,
question was, so you're right, but my question was, how are we doing it? What is exactly happening here? Yeah, Abdul.
Boto 3 is a Python module. It is taking the
Mm-hmm.
profile name developer and region EU West 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So it is taking the value of EC2 and
correct. But can you go a little bit more detail in this part that I'm highlighting right now? What you said is right, by the way.
what, sir?
So what I'm highlighting right now, Boto 3 dot session, what is exactly going to happen here, or what is it returning?
Mm,
Maybe it's a class. Inside the class, we are calling
Mm-hmm.
one function called system.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So you guys see, everybody can tell me the overview of this. Everybody can go on mute, please. But I appreciate you guys unmuting and answering. And Rahul is saying on chat also, creating EC2 instance using Ubuntu 3. Yes, exactly. So everybody can answer what you guys have said looking at this line. But see, somebody said maybe a class, something like that. If you give these kind of answers in an Amazon interview, they will not even ask you another round or another interview after that. So this is what I'm trying to say. Everybody understands a written code, but when it comes to either write it themselves or even explain it, people are not able to do it. So Boto 3, like somebody said, it's a Python module. Yes, it is. It's an SDK in AWS. Now Boto 3 dot session, that part that I was highlighting, and I'm again explaining right now in very fast because I have to get to the demo. But when we go to the actual class, you'll understand all these things piece by piece. So what is this? This is just a function call, but what it does is it creates a session object, an object of this class, right? So everything comes back to object, instance, or class, these three words. Now, what is client? Where is it? This one. What is client EC2? Again, like somebody said, this is creating an EC2 instance. Yes, but not exactly, not in Python terms. Maybe in AWS terms, you're right, but not in terms of Python. So this is really a method call. What is a method? Method is a function written inside a class. It creates an EC2 client from the instance or from the object that was returned back using session. So session returns a session object, even though it looks like a function. Most people would know that this is looking like a function syntax, and that is correct. But it returns a session object. What does this do? Again, this looks like a function, but it is basically a method, which is also going to be called on this session object. EC2 is just simply a variable. You can name anything. You can name it Rahul, you can name it Shubham, you can name it anything. Of course, we'll go through a naming class as well, but I'm just saying you can use it in any way. So everything you can see, even such simple things, and the one that I showed you earlier, they all revolve around object. So everything is about object-oriented programming, guys, and not just in Python, in most of the languages. And it's very important to understand that to get to object-oriented programming, you have to understand basics very, very thoroughly well. Okay, you cannot just have things like, and I give you, and I'm not saying anybody was not able to answer because I don't expect you guys to answer. But maybe a class, maybe a this will not work in real world. And that is something you can't get from ChatGPT or Udemy or anywhere. This is just a small demo, not really the entire picture. So, having said that, let me know if anybody has any questions so far, and then I will be taking you guys through the actual demo, the project that we'll be doing as part of this group for DevOps specifically. But if you have any question, please let me know. I'll also take a sip of water in the meantime. But go ahead. You can even write your questions on the chat, and I'll take it from there. Or you can unmute.
Hi Ankit, do we
Yeah, but
go for
mm.
yeah yeah do we go for NumPy, Pandas libraries in this course?
So excellent question. So NumPy, Pandas, SciPy, these are all Python libraries. We can go through. So I'll let me answer your question, but I'll take your question to a bigger route as well. So I'll be touching a little bit upon Panda. Even today, I'm going to show you. But if you want to understand any framework, there is no possibility that can everybody go on mute, please? Okay. There is no possibility that anybody can explain all the frameworks. Besides, you don't need all the frameworks every time. So what you get is you need to get the ability to traverse through those frameworks. And that is definitely what you're going to get, not just for NumPy or Pandas, but for every framework. These are just simple frameworks. These are not something that you need to learn or remember by heart or anything like that. But yes, we'll be using a bit of Pandas, and I'm going to show you today also in the demo for that. I hope that answers your question. Anybody else? So I don't want to derail too much, but I think in one of the previous batches, last to last batch, there was a student who joined it for DevOps, but he's currently running complete stock investments that he have using his automated stuff. I'll show you a few at the end of the demo if anybody wants to stay back and see. But again, these are not related to any financial advice or anything like that. I'm just trying to showcase that once you learn Python, you can use it how you want. There was a one person, believe it or not, one of the students, he used to when he used to work on laptop, he would lose the track of time. So he created, and by the way, I'm hoping everybody knows this, and if not, that all your TTS, your Google, Siri, all these things are built on Python. I'm sorry, I meant yeah, Google, Siri, the IoT devices, Internet of the Thing devices are all built on Python. So he built the same module using TTS, which is a Python framework, like somebody was asking about NumPy. There's another framework called TTS, text to speech, and the opposite. And all that bot was doing was every hour, it was just announcing the time. It may sound very simple, right? And these things are simple. But again, when you start in the beginning, you have to create your profiles. For example, if you want to apply for FANG, any big companies, all they look at is how is your profile overall, how many projects you have done. So even starting with simple projects like calculator, scientific calculator, things like that will really help. All you have to do is you have to start pushing these into your GitHub so that recruiters can take a look at you, look at your job, look at your work that you have done. And that's how you get a lot of interview calls. So again, the there is no limit on what you can do with Python. Uh, Once you understand Python, you can automate anything. There's a question on the chat. Will you teach all the concept of Python as recently they've asked question related to? Yes, so very good question, Anand. I think you're the first person who's ever asked anything about decorators. So decorators and the advanced concept, like I was saying, talking about code optimization, he just proved my point. These interview questions are going towards generators and decorators. Generator is such a critical concept. It is so complicated. You can't understand that in, 1 hour of reading yourself. So generators and decorators are very, very advanced way of writing the code. They are highly code optimized. I take one full interview question prep on one day, meaning 1 hour, and I talk only about generators and decorators in that class. So things like that, of course. And like I said, the first part of your question, in Anand, that I'll be teaching everything in Python from the basics. Even I'll tell you how to spell Python if you want to ask me. The first class, if anybody asks me, there's no silly question, you can ask me that. But yes, everything that is around Python, all the way up till advanced Python and code optimization, which includes decorators and generators. Decorator is just one level up. Sorry, one level below. Generator is one of the most. I think if I'll be able to show you, maybe after the demo, I'll show you the actual October batch class where I write it on the file itself. This is a short interview question. I guarantee it. And you just proved that part. But you're the first one who's actually maybe you know Python a bit. That's why you've gotten to that far. So of course, yes, all these critical, all these important and all these challenging interview questions will be taught and will be answered. Any other questions before we go to the actual demo? I know we are running out of time. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is, and this is also the project that we will be building towards the end of your course. And I will be sharing, of course, all this, and you can put it in your GitHub and you can start using this for your interviews. But I also highly recommend you do more than this. So if you look at it, they're basically, let me quickly open this. I think now I know why there was a problem. I hope now it is clear, this part. So if you look at this, it's a capstone project. So again, that's a US term, but you don't have to worry about it. All it means it's a project that normally people would do over a course of 3 months, but we are not going to spend 3 months on it. Main thing that you have to see is it's all about argument parsing and logging and automation and scheduling. These four things, if you look, these are the most important things that any DevOps engineer should be doing as part of the role when they start working. I don't know where you guys are, have you finished the course or not? But anyways, you don't have to worry about that because I'm not going to be talking about the DevOps piece. Like I'm not going to tell you what is Kubernetes. I'm just going to show you how we can use or how we can uh, spin our own pod in Kubernetes cluster using these capabilities. Because as DevOps engineer, you have to, at the very minimal, do what I'm highlighting right now, which is need to know argument parsing, how the logging works, how the automation works, and how the scheduling of these things work. Of course, web scraping, REST APIs, these are also important. This is a different project. We can do this or the one that I'm going to show you today. It all depends when we get to this as a group. Or I can give you the code for both and take you through one. It's totally upon you guys when we get there. Of course, we also learn how to call the APIs and handle this. And like someone was asking earlier, I think it was Abdul, that do we talk about any other Python framework? Yes, I talk about pandas. We learn Flask. We learn web scraping, which is also very important. Very, very important. I can't highlight this enough. Write tests with PyTest. So this is one of the things that I've seen people fail in interview. If you ask them, I was recently helping my DevOps team. I don't work in DevOps directly, but I was helping them interview a person for Python. And I asked them a very simple question. How will you be able to test your code? So there's one thing, every code that every person writes has to be able to be tested. And that is a part also of DevOps or automation engineers. So there's a utility, there are multiple utilities. There's test utility, there's PyTest, there's so many other utilities in Python which you can use, but PyTest is the most common one. So I'm going to even show you in the demo in the next 5 minutes about it. So these are the things that we learn so that we can get the whole picture of how a DevOps project, or not DevOps, how a Python in DevOps project works in real time. And then, of course, we can do the complete build of CI/CD pipeline and with Git and stuff. And of course, you will get all this understand. If you don't know already how to push code to Git and all, I will teach you that anyways. So without wasting more time, let's quickly go to the actual demo. So the demo can be a little bit boring because you don't understand the code today, but I will try to keep telling what is happening right now and how it works quickly. So these are all the modules that we need from beyond Python. So pandas, request, schedule, PyTest, like I was talking about, PyTest and pandas is very important. Even request is very important. All the request does it. So if you have to go to a website, for example, and you want to get the response from it, there's request and response on it. So let's quickly go back. So first, I'm going to show you um, how my argument parser will work. So like, for example, this one, again, this is just to take you through it. You don't have to understand the code today. This is only done at the end of the course. And I don't just give you the code. I will be writing each and every line of code with you. So of course, we can go a little bit more or different than the one that I'm showing you right now. This is just to get an idea, right? So as you can see, argument parser, this is one of the most important modules when it comes to DevOps people, because it has the ability to parse the arguments, the CLI arguments, which is very important, right, for any DevOps person. And this will demonstrate how we can build a CLI automation tool in Python. What all it will do? that will fetch the data, right? And then they will process the data. Processing will be using pandas, as you can see. And then finally, it will log the data. Now here I'm using a different kind of logging. You can use a log file, like a text file, a PDF file. I'm using XLX, but you can use anything. So it totally depends on you. And then, of course, this is just the scheduling part if you want to schedule it, because a very important piece of DevOps automation script writer is that your script should be able to do this every day. Sometimes it's like it starts in the morning and ends in the evening. Sometimes it starts in the night, like during this window. So you would have to do all those. So that's why you need to know how the schedule works also. So this is just a nutshell. This is not the real, this is not the full piece of code, but I'm just showing you how the flow will be, right? I wish, let me see if I have the flow diagram. I do. Yeah, here it is. So just don't worry about the arrows. So this is basically the architecture in a nutshell. We'll have a scraper or something like an argument parser, which is our main file, the app.py that I was just showing. And again, like I said, before I continue, everything will be done from scratch when we come to this point. And then, of course, we can put it in a HTML dashboard format or, like I said, XLX format. And then from that, we're going to create or Dockerize it. And then using GitHub, CI/CD pipeline, we're going to build a pipeline. And finally, we'll deploy it inside a Kubernetes cluster. So all this I'm going to show you now in the next 10-15 minutes. So just bear with me. So we'll go step by step. So first thing is I've already built a tool. So if I wanted to test it, and this is how when we actually get to the part also, we're going to do it. So I'm going to test it locally. So this is the name of the project, Capstone. And I'm going to just test it using this. So right now what it is doing is it is trying to fetch, see, fetch the lines, which I'm limiting them to 10. I can limit them to 100. I can make them unlimited, whatever we like. In real world, you will not have any limit because you're going to read your data every day and then go from there. And then the data is converted using pandas. So that's why you see this Excel format like this. It's more like a row, and then this is a row, and then this is the columns, right? So that part is done using the data frames of pandas, again, which we'll see when we get there, how it is done. So this is the report that I just created, or just it just created. And then let's look at the log. So you can see this is not the log. This is the one. We just did this, pipeline completed successfully. The report was here. We fetched the data from the API, and then we processed it with pandas. We saved it, and now we are able to access the report in the Excel. And then, of course, the whole pipeline completed. And since I did not stop it, you can see it'll keep running and it'll keep creating this data. This is like a real um, life cycle thing where you would run your script and forget about it in your Kubernetes pod, and then that pod will automatically keep fetching the data and keep putting it in an Excel file or any format that you want. It could be a text file, it could be a PDF, it could be a Word doc, anything basically. So that is in a nutshell how we're getting the data, where it is pulling the data from. So I had to use a fake data pull. So let me quickly go. It must be here. This is where I'm processing. Here it is. So I don't know how many of you know this. This is the JSON placeholder. Why I preferred JSON? Because it is the most favored language right now in Kubernetes. And almost all data is converted into JSON. And even if you fetch it from a REST API or anywhere, JSON is the, or some people like to call it JSON, whatever you want to call it, is the most important language. Now, this line that I'm showing you right now, this is basically collecting the data. Again, everything is through object-oriented programming. I'll give you a little bit detail over here. So this is the endpoint uh, of your API, which you will be using in your program, in your work environment, but it's more like a mock API, JSON placeholder. That's what it is. And it works. You can actually put it in your web browser and it will show you. Of course, it will have nothing because we don't have any data there. So in real time, this will be something that is your domain instead of this. Basically, it will be your project stuff, which is going to generate data or give you the data in terms of JSON, and you're getting collecting from that. And then after you fetch it, basically we're giving the code and all this. We don't have to go right now. And then of course, this limit is what I was trying to tell you. This is something which is configurable because this is what I have. A default value is 5. What is default value? What is default argument? We learn everything when we go through functions, essentially. But it will be the specific query parameter when we are talking about JSON placeholder. Okay, again, it's very high level. I just want you guys to understand. If you don't understand, that's fine too. This is something I'm trying to tell you right now, which you don't even have much idea, but this will be dealt through step by step. Now, this line is also a little bit important. Like I was saying, response and request is another uh, framework that is very commonly used. All it simply does is, like I was saying, request or get URL. When you type a URL in your browser, and if you do this, it will basically tell you whether the URL succeeded or not. So you can see we are checking for 200, which is a status code for HTTP for success. If it failed, it would give us 404, like not found, or 500 internal error, or something like that. Then that will also be logged inside the log error message, because that's what your job as DevOps engineer is, that you want to make sure, excuse me, that your code is error free. And if there is any error, then that is because of the fetch data, not because of your code. So when we plan this, we have to plan all of this in great detail. Then, of course, we use pandas here, like I was saying, and we generate the report. So this is where we were generating the report like this in this tabular format. So like an Excel format, I like to call it. Even in database also, you call it the same way. So it really depends what your project lead wants, and then accordingly, this can be tailor-made to that. Okay, so what I just showed, why is this so relevant again? Because it is simulating. I do not have a real project, right? So I'm simulating data retrieval from this fake JSON placeholder right now. So it's fetching the log, then it's anonymous to fetching the logs, configuring the data, or even if there is a matrix from a service like Prometheus or somewhere, we can use the same thing here. So all of that, this fetch data will keep on getting increased based on what all tools you want to use. If it's Grafana, for example, I don't know if Grafana is something you guys have learned, but I use it at my work when I do my cloud native projects. So all this fetching of logs, configuration of data, matrices, all this can be done using this RParse that we just saw. Now, also, this is a good testing framework for testing the pipeline. Data visualization, like Anand said, absolutely right. So it's more for data visualization. That is, I think he meant for Grafana. But you can use this and convert it into another graphical use of data. Essentially, you can suggest as a project in your company that, you know what, I can do this once the code is run, once everything is run, my script will go and fetch data from Prometheus, my script will fetch data from Grafana and from other tools, and it's going to give you a beautiful uh, um, visualization. Also, we can do that in pandas. So these are the things we are able to do it. Another question. We're going to learn how to use Python and DevOps with other DevOps tools like Docker, Kubernetes. So I'm going to show you Docker and Kubernetes, not the Argo CD. But again, Shubham, I want to clarify, I'm not teaching Kubernetes. That is something you already would have learned in DevOps course. But to answer your question, yes, how Python we are going to use in DevOps with these tools like Docker, Kubernetes, and all these things. The answer is yes. Argo CD, I don't use it, so I have no idea, but I can look into it and I can always add it later if that is something all of you guys want. See, the challenge is when you work at a project, right, in your company, somebody else is doing most of the stuff for you. We just, as DevOps engineers, we just go in and just, do this, what he really asked, that how are we going to create a script that is going to work with all of them. For me here, the problem is to even simulate that kind of data, and it's very difficult. But definitely, I haven't used Argo CD yet. I actually have to use it at my work, so maybe I'll figure it out and I'll add it also. If I'm able to add it, of course, that'll be a part by the end we do this. Okay, so what was I saying? Yeah, I'm just gonna say one more thing before I go to the next piece. If you look at this again, like I was saying earlier, this is nothing but an OOPS concept. It initializes the argument parser object. This again object, right, from the built-in rparse module. So this is the rparse module that is very common in DevOps. It is the most common Python framework, by the way, or module. And from within that, I'm creating an argument parser object. Now, if I just showed you this before, you wouldn't have even known about this. Like this is what it is. What this object does, this object does a lot of things. It handles command line arguments, which is the main thing, like I discussed. Then they will be passed to our Python script. And of course, there's some description, which is optional metadata. What is all that? We'll talk about in detail when we get there. But it will show up whenever we run uh, the program like this. So this was just a way to run it locally, just to make sure it works. Now, like I was talking about the PyTest, so I already installed it. So let's see if my test works. So what you do is PyTest minus V, and then you have to write a test utility file like this. All it does is you provide it some sample data like this, and it will match if your data is being matched with it or not. So let's try that. So app. So app is where most of my code is. And this, you see, I only ran one test and it passed. Now, if I had some, because I know it is giving 1 here, but if I change it and save it to 10, now it's going to, if I run this again, it will be failing. So, and then it also tells you where the problem is, what is the exact line, and this gives you a short test summary info. These things are very, very important for DevOps guys, because when it comes to DevOps, it's all about data and data visualization, how you're able to provide that data clearly in your reports. So PyTest, like I was saying, I asked somebody in an interview and he failed to even answer even one utility. There is app test, there is PyTest. There's so many different modules that people can use, but again, people may not have tried it or whatever it is. So this is how you're going to prove that you have tested your code with those reports. Those reports are shared with everybody, whoever is your DevOps stakeholder. Now we go to the next step, which is we Dockerize our image. So simply we're going to say Docker build minus T. So I have it installed and everything, but when we go through it, I will tell you everything step by step. That's the name of my project, DevOps dash capstone. And let's take everything. Oh, spelling of Docker is wrong. And now it's going to build the Docker image quickly. And if you wanted to check what is happening, you can download this Docker client, which I have, Docker dashboard, and it will actually show up here in this. There you go. I don't know if everybody saw it, just popped up because it just finished here. So DevOps Capstone latest 5 seconds ago. So your Docker image was built successfully and it is up in the Docker repository. Are we going to use it? We can use it. Let's quickly do a test. So in order to do the test, you give Docker run command, and then I think it's current or PWD or current CWD, one of those. And then again, app, not this. DevOps capstone minus minus. This time, let me give limit as 20. It's gonna take a see. There's another XLX just generated here. So even with my Docker image, my project is in the Docker right now. Anybody can use it. You can use it if you have Docker installed in your laptop, and we can make use of this fetching the data. It is going to keep running. Why? Because I have a while loop here. This is probably the only time when I say while loops are important and can be used, because in scripting they're really, really important. So basically, until I do Control C, this will keep working. So there we go. I just did Control C, and now we have two of those data reports fetched. So what we did so far, I know I'm going a little fast because we're out of time, but I'm just trying to explain as much that, and if I didn't do it, it will keep generating the reports in the background. And we can have seen it in the desktop app as well, which I just showed you. But what we have achieved so far is we have containerized this Python app using Docker. We have made it portable. Like I said, you can use it from your laptop right now, and and you can run it on laptop or even on Kubernetes. It will always behave the same way. So that is the next step. Oh, before that, let's see the CI/CD pipeline. So again, the details I'll show. How am I doing it? This is the CI/CD pipeline code that I wrote. This has nothing to do with Python. This is something you can get it very easily. It's a .yml, not YAML format, if you know how CI/CD pipeline works. But I've written the code which is going to take it and integrate into GitHub CI/CD pipeline. You can use Jenkins. I have never used Jenkins. I don't use it at my work also. But again, tools keep changing. Tomorrow it could be something else. Like when I started, Prometheus was the only tool. Grafana came very late. And now this is Argo CD, and there's one more similar thing. So tools will keep coming. You need to know how to integrate your code at least with one tool. Once you know that, then rest is just basically more syntax and nothing else. So very simply put, yeah, see, Reddy Shaker said Flux CD. I never heard about it. So yeah, every day new tools are coming, guys, and we can't have a handle. Again, like I was saying earlier to, I think, Abdul, don't focus on specific tool or a specific framework like Pandas or NumPy or SciPy. Understand the the basics behind it, or the main, I shouldn't say basic, but it's very complicated. Uh, the coding behind it. If you understand that with one framework, the framework is just another name, and you can very easily figure that out from the documentation. And I'll tell that part also, how we do that from the documentation piece once we get there. So now, of course, I have it set up with my Git. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just see if there is any changes. There are some modified stuff. So let me do this. I'm not the best in Git because I really hardly, well, I use it at work, but not that much. So now if I do this, let me bring my CI/CD pipeline here. Let me first commit and then I'll bring it during the demo on today's Sunday, right? Sunday, what is the date? 11:30. It won't take it this way. There we go. So I committed it, and the moment I push it, it should trigger the CI/CD type pipeline. Sorry, there it is. Let's quickly get there. So here's my CI/CD pipeline page. There you go. Just got triggered. If you look at it, it'll tell you there are two pipelines basically. So first thing first, it is going to build everything. See, it was just setting up Python and all the dependencies. These are all my this is what I was showing you, the requirements.txt. So it's basically collecting pandas, requests, which is the other one, PyTest, like I was telling you about the module. All of that is happening automatically. We don't care about it. It got succeeded. That's how I got the green. And then it goes to Docker publish. Basically, now we're going to get a published image for with all of this that I want in my script. Let's quickly let it complete. Any questions so far, guys? I know I think I'll need only 5 or 7 more minutes and we are done. So just hang in there unless something breaks. There we go. So it's working now. We have the full pipeline. We can go back and check, but I don't want to waste time on it. So now let's do the last piece, which is basically move it to uh, so both the pipelines are Docker image ready. Now we can deploy either a container on AWS ECS or EKS also, but I don't use AWS. If you want to use that, feel free. But I'm going to show you the deploying to the Kubernetes cluster. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing in the beginning only, and I should have said that. Everything that you're seeing and everything that we do during the course, any tool that you see, anything that you see will always be free. I never ask you to download or pay up for any subscription. And that's why I'm not showing AWS, because AWS, it won't work on the free tier. You need something more on that. So even for Kubernetes, there is a free application called Minikube. I don't know how many of you know that, but it's basically a cluster environment that you can use for free stuff. Of course, it has limitations like every free stuff. You cannot go very heavy on it, in the sense you cannot be spinning your multiple websites on it. Then you have to go the paid version. But this is small, so it should work. So I've already installed it, Minikube. Let me start the environment. Minikube. Sorry, Anand, what does that mean? 4-hour duration? I don't know if you meant something about that. Oh, the duration. Yes, I got it now. So he's talking about the one of the drawbacks of Minikube. You cannot deploy your uh, Kubernetes apps for long, beyond 4 hours. I didn't know if it is a 4 hour, but I know it is some duration. Thanks for letting all of us know. So there you go. We have our kubectl environment up. All we have to do is, again, when we get there, I'll tell you how to get to this development.yml. I don't explain you this because that's a DevOps piece, but this is the only piece that is not from Python, and we don't really worry about it much. So if you guys know kubectl minus f, apply minus f, sorry, and your path, which is this, and your YAML file. So it's getting created. If I wanted to check the status, get pods, this container creating, you can put it in what state, but I already got it running. Now I want to just show you that we can, so we can also roll out and do all those stuff. Again, I'm not going into that detail right now, but I'm going to show you if I exit inside my container or my pod, what do I see? DevOps container minus bin bash. Okay, I am inside the kubectl pod, and if you can see, it's already doing its job. It's running, and it's already created. I think it's state, right? See, it just ran 1 minute before, just when we spin the thing. And if you keep it running, it will keep on generating these reports, which are basically based on your program that you're fetching the data. So now when you're working, you basically spun a pod where your Kubernetes pod will keep on fetching the data. So in our case, it's every minute, but in your, so this is where it is every minute because it's a demo, but in reality, it will be after 1 hour or something like that, depending on your excuse me, depending on your team lead's requirements. Mostly I've seen is 4 hours because logs get rolled over in 4 hours. But again, it depends completely on your system. So there you go. It just generated another one. You can use kubectl copy to get these logs if you want to, and then you can check it in your reports, use those reports, send it to whoever in your company you want to send it. But basically, you have created a fully integrated system where you don't have to do anything now. Everything your Python script is doing within the Kubernetes pod, and all you have to do is maybe you can write another Python script to keep fetching this data, which is simply kubectl copy pod name and anything with XLX, and you can put it in one of your locations. You can share it with others, whatever you want to do. Let me see if Vim works. Yeah, Vim doesn't work in kubectl. You have to install the pod that way. Uh, but oh yes, I can also run it from inside. Same thing, capstone minus minus limit. Let me give 20 this time. And here you go. It'll keep generating the report as well as it'll keep showing it here because I have print statements in the code. Again, these print statements are only for helping the DevOps engineer, not really for anything else, because if I wanted to test, I can test it this way. Also, if you notice, because we installed everything right in the Docker image, so we have our own Python repository here. Python minus minus version minus minus, sorry. See, 3.11.14, and you can do what all I have installed. So my whole pod is basically right now can be used as a Python engine if you wanted to. So what is the benefit of this? You can directly create new scripts if you wanted and spun it right within the within the Kubernetes pod, which will keep on running. I'm sorry, I'm going a little fast now because I'm already way over time and I don't want you guys to get bored. But last thing, if you wanted to see a dashboard, this is what your deployment, your replica sets, everything will be here. This is my image, Capstone latest, and this is my app, which is just right now the pod, which is um, the script, nothing else. So again, it depends on your actual deployment, but doesn't differentiate. So again, just summing it up, what is the whole DevOps perspective here? This is basically, you can say, a foundational project for any DevOps scripting guy, especially with Python, because all it does it is CLI driven, basically, you can say. CLI driven automation using rpars, like I said, very, very important for DevOps guys. Then configuring API calls. We've seen so many APIs that we are calling and fetching data from there. So fetching, then logging, and obviously, if anything happens, so it's called fail safe, wherein if you return it, if you turn into, or if you encounter an error, you're always able to go back to your fail safe process. Now you can easily expand this for running it inside a Jenkins pipeline if you wanted to, just like we have GitHub pipeline. You can pass parameters simply from that YAML file. to environment variables. You can also fetch matrices from Prometheus or Grafana. I think Grafana allows that. I'm not 100% sure, but Grafana is more like the visual tool. Prometheus is more like a CLI based tool. So Prometheus is that's why very oftenly used. And then you can do the configs based on that. You can even test data dynamically. So you can do all of this using this. And that is where you take it to the next level in your GitHub and propose it as your own project, not just my project. So the whole source code, again, we will talk about every line by line when I write this, and you will understand this so that you're able to do something. There's never one is to one thing in your real life, right? When you're working. So you would be able to map this to your project requirements per se. And then at the end, I share all the source code as well. It's up to you whether you want to use directly this into your GitHub or enhance it, which is what I highly recommend that you should do. Excuse me, guys. My throat is really bad. And go from there. We don't have time left, but I wanted to show you the other stuff. Maybe quickly, if anybody's interested, this is what I do every day. These are all the scripts that I run for my own self. It basically scans a lot of stocks, whatever I've given. And see, even I have to write so much of code, then keep it in keep it for later for debugging. But anyways, that's not the point here. All it does is it generates an automatic email to my email, which will tell me if, based on my conditions on these stocks, if anything changed, and it will send an email. Let me quickly show it to you. While this happens, I'm scanning all these stocks. Again, this has nothing to do with stock market or anything like that. I'm just telling you how I use one of the cases how I use, and there's so many chatbots also that I have, which are basics of this, but I check for these pre-market, then previous day if I want to. So if anybody wants to take a look at this, this is recorded anyways. You can take a look. This was based on the last data. So probably NVIDIA fell this much. Google did not fail. Tesla did not fail. So this gives me a good overall picture in the morning. Instead, I could do the same thing in half an hour, going to Yahoo or someplace and checking for all these stickers. So my point is you can automate whatever you want to automate. It's not something uh, that basically it helps you with that. So here's the email that I was talking about that I just sent. Of course, there's nothing breaking out right now. It sends every 1 hour. So that is why you saw the 47 minutes one. This is what I just sent. But it basically keeps sending it every 1 hour. It keeps scanning for those. And just one last thing. So instead of this, if as a group we decide we want to learn Flask and get the web scraper, we can do that, and I can share this whole code with you. And but we can do the coding for that. But we have that leverage. So we have two projects basically that we can select from when it comes to the final project time. And of course, I will be sharing both the codes with you. It's up to you which one you want to enhance, which one you want to take it from there. All right, I want to give some time for questions. We're already way past, but please feel free if you have any questions. Now it will be the good time. Chat or uh, unmute and ask. Thank you for being very patient while I was taking you guys through that. I'm going to take the show you the usual questions. So every day classes will be there. This is your thing. Shubham, for fees and all, you'll have to go to the actual person who reached you here from Mithun Technologies. So please talk to them. But anything else you can see here. Like I said, this is for anybody. Don't worry, even if you have no background, we'll be starting with very, very basics and you'll be able to understand. All you need to know is this. All you need to have is this. And I would highly recommend do not join on phone because then you won't be able to follow much. These are the class timings. It will take about 2 months to finish. I already have my October batch, which is running right now. That is 1 hour before this. So this will be a new batch starting from December 2nd. If you're in India time, if US timing, then December 1st. I'm based out of Boston in US. So this is my time essentially. And we will have classes every day, Monday to Friday. Unless you guys decide as a group that you want a break for Christmas or you want a break for Holi or Diwali or whatever it is, then we'll won't have the class. And every class is recorded, and recordings will be shared. Also, the source code will be shared, even with the assignments. Any other question? Yeah, ready, Shankar. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ankit, like class will time will be like exact 1 hour. Will it be extended like 5-10 minutes
No,
or so?
they will be extended almost every time, 10-15 minutes. If I'm finishing up a concept, right, I won't close it right there. Yeah.
Okay. Like
Yeah.
here, like morning
But
time, right?
no,
That's rushing to
I know,
office.
yeah. I
That's what.
understand. Yeah, so that's why if you have to, so even now, the other batch I have with Mithun and my own students, they have I think 7:30 or something like that. They also have to leave. So what they do is either they listen on the commute or the less 10-15 minutes that is left, they go through the recording.
Record. Yeah. Okay.
The problem is we have to think of everybody, right? And
Yeah,
it's very
yeah,
hard time to get to one time. So I understand your concern, but don't worry, everything is recorded. You can go through the recording if you miss some part.
yeah. Thank you.
And also, I'll just add on to that. So if, let's say, one day you were not able to get the class or you are going through the recording and you still don't get something, just simply ping me directly on WhatsApp. And then maybe on that class or some other day, I will extend the meeting just for you for 10-15 minutes and we can go through that part that you are not able to understand. But
Yeah,
definitely, I want first you to go through the video. And
yeah,
that goes
sure,
for
sir. Thank
everybody.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, sure.
thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions before we wind off? I can take one last one. Yes, Suman, go ahead.
Um, Ankit, can we download those videos which you shared?
I don't think so, but that is again a question for admin for Mithun Technologies. They are the one. So anything video related, recording related, that's why I said even this one, they handle it. Uh, I have no hand on it, but we have. I will give you the source code and the PPT if I use one. Yeah, I think he's already answered. No, that is not possible.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but if you miss a class or anything like that, or if you have any questions beyond this, then reach out to them. Raju is one I know. He's very helpful. He's a very nice guy. I've been working with him for last 5-6 years since he's been on Mithun Technologies. So he will help you as best he can.
Okay. Sure.
We can watch or refer till 90 days. Uh, I don't know what you mean by that, Anand, but basically the recording is available for 90 days. So if let's say there was a class today, this recording will be available for you to watch from today after the class till 90 days. I think that's how you guys do, right, Raju? Or maybe you can clarify it to Anand. Yeah, so yeah, that's how they do it, Anand. So it will be available till 90 days from today. Any other question? Okay, sounds good then. I thank you everyone again and appreciate the time. I know we went a little overboard, but this can also tell you I'm always ready to share more, and I will be sharing a lot more than the contents. But if you want to join, then please reach out to Method Technologies admin and pay the fee, and we'll be starting the classes from tomorrow, which is for me, but for you guys, if in India, then it'll be this. All right, guys.
Ankit,
Then
Ankit,
yeah, go ahead.
which
Go ahead. Go
which
ahead.
ID we are going to use anyhow, like VS Code or like PyCharm, so that we will be
Very
ready.
good question. So yes, it will be VS Code. So once you pay the fee, he will add you and me. I'm already going to be part of that group. I will share the instructions, what to download, where to download, Python, VS Code. But the answer to your question is VS Code because VS
Yeah,
Code is the most commonly used
yeah, yeah.
ID in jobs. Yes.
Yes.
So that will be there. Yeah. Good question though.
Yeah.
Any other question?
Nothing from my end.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Thanks everyone. Have a good rest of your weekend. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you.